back to another edition of the NoStoppingKev Show. It's your boy, Lil KB. I'm here with Pops. What it do?
What's going on?
In the words of Kawhi, what it do, baby? But yeah, it's a big day. You know why it was a big day?
What, because you got to win today?
Yeah, we got that W, boy. Shout out to Take the Charge. Shout out to, all my teammates. My man, Nick Volpe, shortest man on the floor. Came down with the biggest board to seal the game. Then went to the free throw line.
Went 1 for 1? 1 for 2?
I don't know. My man got the biggest board, though.
No,
he clinched the game for us. My man Twan took a charge for us. Justin hit some big shots. Earl grabbed some boards, even though he was outmatched. Quan grabbed one board over a little dude, but, Quan, I'm going to let you live.
Actually, you know what? The game today was probably a real good game in a sense because y'all both played, kind of equally. It was a good game.
You say you played eagerly?
Equal.
Oh, equally?
Yeah,
gotcha.
It actually was it was exciting. For real, the game was kind of exciting.
That was a playoff preview. We'll probably play them next week in the first round of the playoffs.
Oh, next week's the playoffs?
Yeah.
But, it was actually a good game. Now, I think that y'all could have beat them a little bit more easily.
Yeah, we definitely make the game harder from time to time.
Yes, I do.
But we moving in the right direction. Season's had some ups and downs. That's been like our third game that was decided by 2 points. That was the first one we won. So, won a close game. Definitely something to hang our hats on, but we're looking to get better and make this postseason run. Unlike the Golden State Warriors are going to do this year.
You know what? But what I'm saying is, y'all have made y'all games harder than it was.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we've done that since the first week when we blew a game. Then next week we held on, but we almost blew a game. So, I just got to get into my floor general bag, make sure down the stretch I'm like, yo, that's what we doing. So, next week, it's for all the marbles. Or at least a significant portion because it's winter go home and I'm not going home. I got to get another medal to hang in the office. But, yeah, so, speaking of that challenge in my life of, medal chasing, just made me think about how in life we're all faced with challenges pretty much on a daily basis. Some challenges are big, some are small. Am I right or am I right? Or am I wrong?
No, you're right. You're right. Challenges, there is challenges. Like I was saying to you, some challenges is always kind of good to challenge yourself or have somebody challenge you at times.
Because it's what happens when you lift weights? You're challenging those muscles, right?
Right.
You got to beat them down and build them up a little bit, right?
Right.
So that's kind of what challenges do. They promote growth. They bring growth out of you. You got to go through, a tough time in order to come out better. So, I think one of the first times where I realized that I was really being challenged was in, let me see what grade that was. It was the 4th grade. So I was at Universal, right?
Right.
And they started this enrichment program. And it was I already went to after school enrichment, right? They started some during school enrichment. And you want to know what period it was during?
What?
Recess.
Oh, so you either go to that class or you go to recess.
Yeah, so that wasn't sitting right with me, right? So I went the first couple times, right? So I was going for a minute. And one of the first assignments was to write a biography on someone. Might have been Black History Month, too. Nonetheless, you had to write a biography on someone. This was back when, probably 2005-ish. Whatever year the Eagles had T.O. and we went to the Super Bowl. So I wrote a biography on T.O. I was like, he was popping in Philly at that time. And I put a decent amount of work into it. I really worked hard. I was sitting at the computer. This is back when we had the big computers. Not like this. We ain't had a Mac laptop, so I wasn't that fancy yet. I had the big compact joint where you used to have a little screen tinter. Like, you ain't just dim the screen down. No, you put this extra thing on there so that it wouldn't be all bright in your eyes. But I found out you could take that off, and the screen looked a lot better, in my opinion, because I was a little bit younger. Nonetheless, I put all this work. I saved my biography on my little floppy drive, took it in, printed it out, and the teacher was like, yeah, this wasn't really what I was looking for, like in terms of format and all that. And I'm like, yo, Miss Burson, what you mean? I done put some hours into this. Looking up stuff online, figuring out this man's whole life story, and putting it in these 3-4 pages at a time. I was like, what you talking about? This not good enough. Right? And so you know what I did that?
What did you do?
I was like, I ain't going to enrichment no more. I started sliding out in the recess line. Because, they used to kind of point us out like, oh, go to you. It's time for y'all to go upstairs. Go hit upstairs. So, what I used to do? So, like, kind of act like I was going. And then the teacher would be walking with the recess line. I get right behind the line. And I thought they're playing football. And next thing I know, feel like 2 days later, it's parent-teacher conference. So now, I'm walking around the school with my mom. We about to go see my regular teacher, Ms. Walters. Guess who we bump into in the hallway? Miss Burson. And guess who coming down the hall as well? Mr. Walker, the principal. And I'm like, oh no, when you're a kid, you already know, like, oh no, I'm about to get exposed. And so they started talking to my mom. Like, yeah, we had this good enrichment program for kids that, basically if you doing well in class, and they feel like you need a little bit more, they want you to go to that next level. They put you in this program. And my mom was like, she want that for her boy, right? That sounds like something good. That's music to her parents' ears. And they was like, yeah, Kevin just hasn't been coming. And my mom was like, why you not going? I was like, the real reason why I wasn't going, right? It's because she told me something I ain't like. Like, what you mean, girl? But I was like, yeah, I just want to go to recess, Mom. Like, and she was like, oh, you want to go to recess? And I was like, yeah. And it was like, principal was like, how about this? You can go to recess, but after that, you have to go to Miss Burson. And I was like, oh, what you, like, oh, now I'm getting with my bargaining chip just got blown away. He just smoked that thing right off the table. And so, because that's what I was, trying to stand on, I had to try it out.
So what, she just wanted you to do it differently?
Yeah, she wanted me to rechange my format. Like, the content and everything was good. I had to restructure it. But you want to know what else she told my mom?
Right.
I can't remember if it was her. No, it's my principal that said it. He said, after I said the whole recess thing, he said my mom, he was like, everybody call my mom by my last name, Miss Beeford. We feel that Kevin just doesn't like being challenged. That ate my soul a little bit, boy. I'm like, what you mean, bro? But he was right. In that moment, I didn't like being challenged. I brought something that I thought was very good, and she was challenging me to make it better. Because ultimately, hindsight, she definitely knew more than me, right?
Yeah.
So in a moment, I didn't like that. So I had to go back, give it a shot. And I really ended up enjoying the program. Even though it was during the school day, it was a nice change of pace. I was with different kids from around the school. And you really got to work on some fun assignments. Like, one of them, we had to do, like, it was like a Philly, it's like a tour of the world kind of thing, or a tour of the city. So, like, landmarks, things that were famous to Philly.
Right.
So it was like programs and classes did it. So I got to participate in something with my class, but also got to do something with the enrichment program. And we made like paper mache cheesesteaks. So I was kind of staying after school working on it, and it was really, really a cool experience. And so, you were talking about earlier, before we got on air, the importance of trying to find fun in challenges, right?
Right. Like, some kind of way, like when you was just talking about that, my college coach, some kind, like after a game or something, like, I remember thinking I had this great game,
Mm-hmm.
I thought I had this great game and all like that. And but when my coach got on me, I felt low.
Mm-hmm.
And like I guess in a way, he didn't get on me to or it like he pointed everything wrong I did.
Mm-hmm.
And like it made me like I had to realize that he wasn't really doing that. He was just trying to let me know what I had to work on and how I had to get better, get better at something. But I didn't like it, and like I was really kind of upset like that. And have an attitude, like that. But like he was just pointing some things out, and what I did learn in life, I had a few coaches like that. T and Claude now. Sometimes you could feel you had that game, but then they also at times let you know what you're doing right.
What you doing wrong.
to keep me even what I did good, like at time, because at first it was just what I did wrong.
Right.
Then,
I follow you.
Then he allowed me to tell me what is good. So then when he started telling me that, now I'm motivated to work harder to try to get better at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's important too, and it just made me think back to, once I gave that program another chance, and I was going and I was restructuring the TO assignment, and then working on other assignments. This person telling me I did well on something felt good. That probably kept me going.
Right,
and then when you get to work on some of the more fun assignments that are more creative or hands-on, less writing, less of the typical things you do in the classroom, it became more fun. So I think those two things are very important. So when you talk about overcoming, challenges in life, is finding a way to make. Coach Dev used to always say, life is about angles. You can look at it the negative way essentially, or you can look at it, or you can turn that negative into a positive. And once you start turning things into a positive, it becomes a lot easier to tackle them. Because it's glass half empty, half full, essentially.
Right.
It's like I can look at this bad situation as being a bad situation, or I could try to find some good about it, or I can try to say, you know what, this is a very bad situation, right? But if I keep taking steps to work myself out of this bad situation, I'm getting closer to a situation that's good, or we'll call it normal even. Right?
Right.
So it's progress.
Well, you know what, and you say something and it's something that I learned, like when you said to grab on to something positive, because you know what, that will help pull you up. When you look at the negative, that can tear you down. That can take you. So you got to look at the positive part of it.
Right.
You have.
It just helps.
Yeah, it
helps mentally.
Yeah.
Like a lot of things, and especially tackling challenges or facing challenges, it's mental. Like even if it's a physical task, like lifting weights, right? They say like when you're doing the bench press and you got your spotter and you're struggling to get the bar up off your chest, and that dude just put his hands under there, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you start pushing it, right? And you get it all the way back to on the rack. And then you like, yo, thanks for helping me. And the guy tell you, I ain't even do nothing. I just put my hands there. Yeah. He was like, I wasn't even touching the bar. But you thought he was, so it felt lighter.
Yeah.
So really you did it all on your own. You had the strength within you the whole time. You had to shift your mindset. Sometimes it's that simple. It's not easy to do it. It's not always easy to do it. But it's a simple adjustment.
Ain't we working on that right now with me?
I'm gonna let you speak on that. I ain't even gonna touch that, boy. I ain't even gonna touch that.
No, because like you're saying, it's true, and like it's definitely true. I fight that, and like you know what, I know at times I need it, and I gotta be thankful for what you are doing and the challenge that you are. But like you say, sometimes it's just not easy, especially like when you set in some ways. And it got and I talk about being open and how sometimes, and like I'm not all that, but I gotta be. I gotta be, and and I gotta be thankful. So I understand what you saying, and then like when I look at some experience, but you know what, when I'm faced with it, sometimes it is like easier said than done.
And it's easier to run away from it at first than it is to face it and try to say, hey, this thing is kind of coming for me, fight or flight. When the easier thing may be to try to avoid it or, not accept that it's right there in your face. But to do the harder thing, like anything worth having shouldn't be easy, right? That's something they always say.
Yeah.
So when you try to, when that thing's standing you toe to toe, it's like, all right, it's time to go to battle. I'm being challenged with this. Let me try to get better.
Let me get better. But, also, sometimes, and I guess when we talk about understanding the challenge, and sometimes we have to make it more clear, like when you were saying that about when she wanted to critique that, and then you had to do it over, or the format wasn't right, and you did it over, or like that. But at first, you fought against doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, you did see the reward, or you got the reward from it. So I know, in challenges, it's gonna be, if you get there, you're gonna do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you don't do it, you may be sorry that you didn't even try.
Right.
You didn't put an effort to it.
Right, because had I run from that program and just did what every other student was doing, kind of going to recess, going back to regular class, I wouldn't have got certain experiences. Right, so I would have kind of regretted that in the long run. And when you look at the fact that that probably really taught me how to grow, really taught me how to handle adversity before even realizing that is considered a little bit of an adversity.
Right.
I was growing. I was getting better at something.
You know what? You can also, and when I say maybe if you didn't do that, you might not be where you at today.
Yeah, because what else ended up happening too? I think in 5th grade, so the next year, I went to after school enrichment. They started pitting me with the 6th graders. So instead of having the 5th grade after school pack, the green one, I had the purple one. I used to have to go with the 6th graders, so I was doing work for a grade higher, right? They didn't skip me,
right?
Which I'm kind of glad they didn't. But I was being challenged even in that. And so, you look at it from the lens of, kind of taking a step back, looking at the big picture. It definitely made me a better student. It probably allowed me to separate myself from other students because I was getting access to, knowledge and resources that, they weren't at the time. And, it's by no means is this to brag or, put myself on a pedestal. It's just hey, sometimes when people come to challenge you, accept the challenge. Because if you win, man, that reward can be great. And it's not always about where you can end up. I guess a little bit of it is, but it's more so the journey, I think, is what I try to appreciate in life. It's it's a quote. That's another quote I used to live by, life isn't a destination, it's a journey. Because there's so much you go through and so much that you get from each and every experience that, something worth appreciating.
Yeah.
Now, what I also like to talk about on this show? Do you know?
What's that?
That's that right there.
Oh, what's that there?
Sure. Basketball. You want to know another time I was faced with a challenge?
Go ahead.
This one was mental and physical. Want to say really senior year, but probably my entire high school career. So I talked about my brother before, Lil Eddie.
All right.
So even when I was in 9th grade, I feel like I would get matched up with Little Eddie in open gyms and stuff, even though he was a year younger in 8th grade. Because we were roughly the same size, both guards. And people used to pit us up against each other for matchups, And even once we both were on a team, so when I'm a sophomore, he's a freshman, because a lot of people in our school used to have grade issues, we both would get pulled up to play varsity games. He didn't so much his junior year, but sophomore year, when I was a junior, he was a sophomore, happened a little more. Then once we got older, we both were basically playing varsity. And then my senior year, when he was a junior, we didn't have, for about half our season, we didn't have a clear-cut point guard. Our coaches wouldn't say I was the point guard. I thought I was bringing the ball up.
I remember some of that.
But they were no, we don't really have a point guard. We don't really have a leader on this team until we had a bunch of guys failing. It was me. I can't remember who else. I think Shaquan was my running mate. And we were playing with like all the freshmen, all the young guys. I don't even know if Lil Eddie was eligible that game. But we won. Pulled out a tough one. And then they named me, like, all right, this is our point guard right here. Because I had to run the show. I had to make sure all the young guys knew what to do. Because we weren't playing against young guys on the other team. They had their seniors, juniors. They had the varsity basketball. You know, it was the real deal. It was showtime. But, you know, I talk about Little Eddie because he made me a better player. Because in practice, each day I was competing against this guy. He was my challenge. Because I always felt like we were neck and neck. Because Little Eddie had the flashier handle. He probably could shoot the 3-ball better than me. I think my mid-range might have been a little bit better than him. But I just always respected his game because he had a nice game. He's a little tricky with the rock, right? I definitely was better defensively. I was better defensively. But I always thought that any given moment, he could take my spot, right? And now looking back, even when me and Eddie are talking about this, back when he was cutting my hair, he was like, "Nah, man, it wasn't close. Like, you had the point guard IQ." He's like, "I didn't." But it just was, you know, to hear him say that, like, from him, when I viewed us as, like, yo, you was driving me to be better. Like, the only reason I was able to be that good or be that effective in that position was because he was coming from my spot every day at practice. So, like, mentally, it was taking a toll on me, right? Because I'm like, yo, if one bad practice, I might not be starting tomorrow. Might be Lil Eddie's show. You know, if I have 14 starting, he had 14 off the bench. I was like, whoa, they might switch things up. Right? So it was like a mental game, and also it would get chippy in practice from time to time. I remember one day I hit him with the Dennis Rodman, when he did the Karl Malone. Yeah. Going up the court, just kept throwing his body into him, and he was falling, and Dev was like, yo, cut that out before one of y'all get hurt. We kept going, because it was just a battle. Like, we love each other to death, but when we was out there matched up against each other, it was war. So, Lil Eddie, thank you for that, man. You made me a better player, and I think you just taught me how to, you know, really stay focused on a goal and keep working towards it, no matter what comes up, no matter how close that person is at your heels. You know, learn how to let a challenge kind of drive you to your success. So, Lil Ed, again, thank you. Appreciate you, bro.
So that was a challenge. You challenged yourself more so to be better or to keep that spot?
I think so. I think it was a self-challenge, but also, you know, he was there. He was a reminder of it for me. You know, I knew I had a guy lining up across from me every day that wanted to be in the spot I was in. And at that time, we probably both were looking at it like, he probably was like, yeah, I'm right there too. Like, I can do it. And you know me, I'm like, yo, he probably can do it, but I want to hold on to it.
You know, the only reason I was asking that because, like, you know, I feel though, like, sometimes it was a challenge. Like, I guess every time I stepped on the court, you know, it was a challenge to go out there and be the best I could be. And, like, you know, it was to be better than anybody else, or just to challenge myself to have a good game. You know, like, I remember my coach used to say, like, you know what, he used to always say, I wish they had something over the score so you couldn't see the score, and you just go out and play for 40 minutes hard and just work. You know, and, like, you know, so, like, you know what, to challenge yourself to play this game for 40 minutes. You know what I mean? Play hard for 40 minutes. You know, I remember when I used to play in the Sunny Hill League, and we used to play down there. You know what? And I guess it was a kind of a challenge because I wanted to see how much marks I could have on the bottom of my sneak at the game. So then I knew I was playing hard. You know, and that, like, you know what? I just wanted to have marks, you know, like that, you know.
Earn your stripes, kid.
Yeah.
You know, I think that, you know, you're talking about kind of dealing with challenges. You know, you wanted to have those marks. And somewhere you probably believed in yourself, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
important when it comes to dealing with challenges. So I think a good tip is no matter how hard it get, believe you can do it.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
if, you got to fake it till you make it, just keep telling yourself until you believe it. It's worth doing because that even helps shift your mental. I was talking to Coach Dev and he was like, usually when you wake up, right, look at your phone, but even if you don't, you kind of think about yesterday, right?
Right.
And if yesterday, your mind kind of automatically goes to negatives, just we're kind of wired through human nature. That's why people try to wake up and have positive affirmations, right? Because it sets the tone for your day.
Right. Right.
So you believe in yourself, you kind of shift the mindset. Life is about angles. Always remember that. I also want to say try to stay calm and level-headed. Just like when I was dealing with little Eddie, it was easy to freak out. I could have freaked out after every practice, after every game, after every drill. But if I just said, you know what, it is what it is, just go out, do my best. If coaches decide to make a change, they make a change, but that's not going to stop me from bringing my A game day in and day out. That's what I'm going to do regardless. So just try to keep your head up, stay focused on your goal. In the long run, just see how the chips may fall. Even if it's not what you want, you're probably growing out of it just by being able to stay that focused in the midst of whatever you're going through.
Yeah, I think that's important to stay focused, stay positive. And, and I think, what, and just stay encouraged.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you have to, even if you have to remind yourself, like you saying, just like you said, a positive at the Mason. I think you have to stay that way.
You know what else you can do?
What else?
Ask people for advice or help.
Right.
Lean on the people around you. We don't got to do it alone. I'm a firm believer in it takes a village. And go ahead. Now, what you gonna say?
No, you know what? I believe that you always need somebody. I believe we all need somebody to help us.
We all need somebody.
We do. No matter what it is. No matter what it is, somebody helps us do everything anyway.
I agree, 100%. Know what else you got to do though? Sometimes.
What's that?
Sometimes. You gotta call that 30-second timeout. You gotta take a break. Feel yourself getting overwhelmed, mentally drained. Take a break. Come back to tackling your challenge. Even in sports, they got them timeouts for a reason. When coach see those mental lapses, he like, all right, we gotta.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might even need a full timeout. Take a little extended joint.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do.
Sometimes, like, you know what? Just like in war, like I used to say, sometimes you gotta take a step backwards to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you tremendously.
And the last thing I'm gonna leave our great audience with.
What's that?
Just work on your craft continuously. You can take breaks, but just keep working non-stop until you get to where you want to be. And even when you get to where you think you want to be, you're probably going to see somewhere new that you want to get to. So just keep working, especially if it's something you love doing, something that you're passionate about. Keep grinding because you only get out what you put in.
You know what? That word that you said, love and passion, that will carry you through and make you succeed.
Facts.
Because if you love what you're doing, it's not work. It's not work. You might say it's hard, but you think the basketball players, when they go out there, they love playing basketball. And so it's not really, well, for me, I love playing basketball, so it wasn't work. The sweat, the grinds, the practice, the hard practices, the suicide, that was all fun. But some people, it's work too, but I loved it. I remember when we used to have to run the steps. Like, I do extra. When we had to run miles or that, I do extra because I loved it.
Took that different angle than your average person.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's a good spot to lead a show until next time. Last week, y'all didn't drop. We didn't drop a Wednesday basketball episode, and it was for good reason. It was because needed y'all to not get distracted and go check out episode 22 about No Limits. That's an important one for us, one that a lot of people appreciated, a lot of people shared already. So go ahead and check that out. And then when you're done, share that. And then also share this one that you're listening to right now. And also don't forget we're on social media, people, at the No Stopping Kev Show on Instagram and Facebook. But also rate our show. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember, work on your craft. Do whatever you got to do. If you got to take a break here and there, do it. But just keep working and meet the fight is what my college coach used to say. Coach Polykov. Meet the fight. Meet your challenge in the face. Don't be afraid to hit it back. We out.
And God bless.
You want to say that with your chest this time?
God bless all y'all.
Thank you. Peace.